Thank you for joining us, and I'd like to acknowledge our main partners in this venture, Dassault Systems, Wesgrow, the City of Cape Town, and of course the French Embassy.
Good day, aloha, sanibonani, bonjour. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today at the Ocean Innovation Africa 2020. Our blood is blue today. You can even see our background. Our blood is blue. And as maritime professional, today we want to ensure that nothing and absolutely nothing dilutes our blue blood. And that is why we've come together as a collective to reduce this palpable friction and uncertainty in the blue economy space.
This ecosystem of industries is growing in the numbers of industries, the kinds of industries, the geographic extent, the duration, intensity, and frequency of use. It's really creating an ocean that is highly utilized by a whole range of sectors. The World Ocean Council brings together all of those various industries, plus the investment, insurance, and legal community, and the innovation community that we'll talk about in a bit more detail. So we work to catalyze leadership and collaboration and action in what we call corporate ocean responsibility. We bring together these global communities to focus on a common goal of a healthy and productive global ocean and a sustainable use and stewardship by the business and investment and innovation communities.
Our well-being is intertwined with the health of the ocean. And the question really is, how do we transition and make that transition to a sustainable ocean economy? The panel themselves recognize that the health and wealth, the well-being of the world and its people depend on the ocean, and the potential is enormous. But indeed, the ocean, as we know, is in trouble. A new relationship, therefore, is required with the ocean, one that creates a healthy ocean and a sustainable ocean economy. I think the key message that is coming out of the panel is that the ocean is not too big to fail, it's not too big to fix, but indeed it's too big and too central to the planet's future to ignore. We know that the ocean, a sustainable ocean, can produce six times more food than it does in the moment, can generate 40 times more renewable energy than it does at the moment, lift millions of people out of poverty, and indeed contribute to the 25% of the greenhouse gas emissions reduction needed to stay within the 1.5 degrees. When you think about that's equivalent to taking 2.5 billion cars off the road per year in terms of annual emissions, or the annual emissions of all coal-fired plants added up together on an annual basis. So these are ocean solutions that could help us get to a healthier planet by reducing carbon emissions.
The ocean is of fundamental importance. We want a healthy ocean because only then can there be a wealthy ocean.
Representing the European Commission here, and this is to explain, this is the institution of the European Union, which helps to shape the European Union's overall strategy. It proposes new laws and policies, it monitors the implementation, and it manages the European Union budget. And as Richard said, within this institution, I'm responsible for international ocean governance and sustainable fisheries at the international level. For us, the blue economy does not mean necessarily making a greater and bigger use of the sea and its resources, but it means making better and sustainable use of these resources. We too often take it for granted that everyone understands what the blue economy is and how important it is for jobs and growth and for the viability of coastal communities. But this awareness is unfortunately not there. We are therefore carrying out awareness-raising activities, whether for the general public or for more specific audiences, and very importantly, also for the world of finance. At the European Union level, we have a full package of hard law that, for example, regulates and controls fisheries, sets the standards for environmental protection, establishes ecosystem-based maritime spatial planning, or increases the certainty for investors and smoothes the path for sustainable finance. These are all areas of relevance for the development of the blue economy, but attention needs to be paid at the same time to avoid over-regulation and administrative burden.
You start to see a very clear ecosystem that I think is being created around the sustainable ocean economy that involves nation states, finance, other nations working together to achieve the outcomes that I think everyone seeks. That's good for people, economies, and planet.
It really has become clear that the business as usual option is no longer an option. So there is a need for change in our approach to ocean assets, for a transition towards a sustainable way of managing ocean resources. This is where the concept of the blue economy comes in, and the leverage financial institutions have takes center stage. It highlights that sustainability cannot be separate from economic activities and growth, but is a condition for both.
There's this coming together of the private sector, the scientists, people that are passionate about the blue ocean, and these are meeting in the marketplaces, and where we've struggled to unlock and catalyze investment before, new innovative solutions are coming to the fore. And I think where there's a new kind of trend about commerce with impact and impact from commerce, and these solutions are definitely able to be scaled up by private sector capital.
I think the ocean space is really unique in the sense that you can combine both systemic impact, as I was saying at the beginning, and at the same time size, incredible and massive business opportunity.
We are in an ecosystem, like we are in a space with tremendous opportunity, but it's a nascent ecosystem, right? And so in order to really build up the ecosystem, and you need to think about what needs to be in place to really catalyze, as Saren was saying, that the private capital.
And I think we are at an inflection point now, which is exciting to be part of. Before starting Find, that I'm currently building, I also founded and led Catapult Ocean, where we focus on earlier stage companies in the blue economy. And over the past years, following that space, we see an increasing number of clever engineers and entrepreneurs starting companies in this space. We see an increasing interest from established industry players to make use of new technology. We see an increasing interest from investors. So this is really interesting times. Africa is a great source for innovations, but also a very interesting market for a lot of these technologies. And I think just to end it, that's building bridges between maybe more progressed ecosystems, like we, for example, have in Norway, with strong technology competence and long experience working with the ocean sectors, with Africa is really important as well.
I'd say one of the key bottlenecks we need to address is still the lack of understanding and expertise in the sector. Because investing in the blue economy, as we said, is a tremendous impact and return opportunity, but it's also complex. And the ocean is a harsh environment. You need investors who develop this understanding of the environment and the knowledge, and therefore to really assess the opportunities and the risks. And those investors are the ones, I think, who will help catalyze investment from more investors.
There's a lot of education needed because the blue economy is at least the way we look at it holistically is a fairly nascent sector.
I'm really excited to use this as an opportunity to launch a collaboration between Ocean Hub Africa and Uplink, where we're going to be inviting all of you to join us on the platform, first of all, where we have a dedicated topic area on the ocean, but also where Ocean Hub Africa is going to be actually facilitating and curating an action group. An action group is a digital community on our platform. The purpose of this one is to accelerate the development and adoption of ocean solutions across Africa.
I bring the science into this discussion, and this is a very important part of ideation and solution development in general, because science is not just what we use, but the base of what ideation and solution development are about.
So I think there's a lot that is to be done in terms of raising awareness of blue economy within the context of development and policy. It's really limited, and the knowledge gap between the government and other stakeholders really needs to be bridged. A lot still needs to be done. A lot still needs to be done within the African context.
In terms of the African ecosystem, We have around 1,400, just over, startups, ocean impact startups specifically in our pipeline globally. Only 65 of those are from the continent, which is about 5%, which is very small given the size of Africa, the opportunities, the problems facing, or I guess the opportunity in the blue economy for Africa is humongous. So we would expect more solutions coming from the continent. There are amazing solutions, both coming from very kind of, I guess, R&D heavy deep tech, and also kind of more capital light business models where it's more, I guess, business model innovation rather than deep R&D. But it's really encouraging to see solutions come through. We would like to see more, and I think a reflection is that communities such as Ocean Hub Africa, the Uplink platform partnering to build, to showcase solutions and build stories, accelerator programs and kind of aggregators of quality startups. These are all super important for more international players and investors to get visibility into the ecosystem, because I think that's an area where we can do a lot better.
From the African perspective, two key things are very important in terms of innovation in Africa. It needs to solve problems, and then it needs to create jobs. And if whatever initiative or programs you need to put out there has to definitely sort of address this both of these issues.
Ocean tech is hard. It often involves hardware. It's put into the ocean oftentimes. Really tough environments. See, Kalisa is nodding her head. Many challenges to deploying technology into the ocean.
It's also expensive.
In order to get to a commercial position, startups need to de-risk their tech. It's not very appealing for investors to come in when that tech risk still exists. We really need to funnel or find more innovative ways to de-risk technology in the ocean space, so that we can then attract more commercial investors at a later stage. The proof points that startups need to get to in order to raise capital to scale are quite unexplored. So it's quite rare to see ocean tech companies raising humongous sums of capital from an early stage. Investors need to get more comfortable, I think, and see these kind of proof points and see these positive stories come through to get more, I guess, comfort and understanding of the space.
Africa has a great intellectual base and university system to generate ideas, but I think it continues. The first question people need to be asking is, who's my customer? Is this a great idea, but it's not going to be funded by the market? Or is it a great idea that requires funding from the government? And people have to decide that really early.
We believe that change will be led by, first, progressing regulation. And I think the story of the unpacked wells that we've just shared is a great example of that. Second, by increasing awareness that would drive a shift in the consumer's habits. But last and most important to us, by innovation, finding the solutions to change the way we operate and the way we interact with the ocean. Innovation that will address the challenges that the oceans are facing at the right scale and at the right pace. Over the last 2 days, thanks to more than 400 international speakers and delegates, we've heard inspiring stories, fascinating opportunities, and a remarkable amount of resources and people that are dedicated to ocean impact.
Ocean Hub Africa is one of the projects we embarked on. Part of our relationship with them is to set up a hub here at the waterfront where tech innovation, everything related to ocean's economy, etc., can be housed in one component.
The ocean is playing a role in what is currently happening. We know that there's global warming taking place, which leads to global climate change. Only about 5% of the ocean has been explored, and we are part of that exploration.
On the African continent, where the two oceans meet, it would make sense for this city government then to partner with industry and specifically with the public and private sector. The oceans industry currently contributes about 25 billion rand to our city's economy. We've got about 12,000 people employed in this sector, and it can be so much higher, and that's what we are aiming for. But importantly, to make sure that we sustain and retain the oceans and marine ecosystem as it is, so that we don't damage it, but that we use the best resources, the best technology to extract the value from it. And that's what the City of Cape Town, with all the partners that you see behind me, are doing at the moment.
This is why we created Ocean Innovation Africa, this platform to convene, bring about the different stakeholders in Africa, with the primary goal to uplift the maturity level of the ocean impact ecosystem in Africa, because it's required. A lot of the impact, when you speak impact in Africa, it has to do with a lot with social impact, and we understand where it comes from. But it can be narrow-minded. If you look at the environmental impact, the 3 pillars of sustainable development are environment, social, and economic, right? Economic has an impact on economic. It hasn't got an impact on social. It hasn't got an impact on environment. Social has an impact on social and economic, ultimately. Environment is the only one pillar that has an impact on the other 2. If you do, environmental benefits will have, in turn, positive effects on social and economic. We need collaborations in order to see through our vision with Stephanie, essentially trying to reshape for the better interactions between people and oceans, ultimately, without leaving anyone behind. It's not only the oceans first, it's livelihood and oceans. And we'll never be able to do it on our own, just Steph and I, so it requires everyone to come together. So I'm very glad to have you here this evening, and I hope to have you here next year, same time, and in between as well. Thank you very much, guys.